Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and this is week 2 of the Art Journal 2023 Art Journal Challenge. And so here's last week's. I didn't do any changes to it, just like it was. And I turned the page just a little bit ago, and I realized, you know, I picked this giant journal, and it's got thin paper, which is a challenge. And here's one of the things that can happen when you're gluing things. It made the shape where her head is. And also, even though I gessoed both sides of the paper, I'm getting the color from this page bleeding through. So that's probably a thin coat of gesso that I put on. So anyway, I think that what I'm going to do is do some scrapping. Just mainly because of this. So I am going to do some scrapping. Now, I have not, and normally I don't come into my art journaling stuff with an idea. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I think it's more fun that way. So there's not a right or wrong way to do it. You can sit and contemplate and figure all the steps out ahead of time if that's the kind of person you are. But I'm not like that, so I'm just going to start doing something and then let the, scripture kind of percolate in my head. The artwork may or may not directly apply to it. And that's fine. It might just be a showcase for the final words. So the prompts for this week are use an arrow, read somewhere, R-E-D, and magazine image. So these prompts are meant to help you just so you can start and not get frozen by all the decisions and all the possibilities. So you don't have to use them. If they don't help you, don't use them. And then the scripture for this week is that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans 10:9. I will try to keep putting links out there for this deck of cards that's out on Etsy in case you want it. You don't need it. You don't have to have it. You can handwrite the words if you prefer or whatever. But if you do want it, it's out on Etsy and you can get it. So that's the scripture, Romans 10:9. Prompts one more time. Use an arrow. Use red somewhere, the color red, and a magazine image somewhere. Use those things. So, okay, so I'm just going to start by getting my gel matte medium out and putting it on the page, and I'm going to start putting some of my scraps. And I just realized I do have, since it says to use red, I have red scraps. I put my reds and purples and yellows in this little thing. And I have another one with blues and greens and that. And then I have one with neutral colors. So I'm going to get my neutral out. I'm going to get my red out. And this, I don't know what'll happen, but I'm just going to start putting down some scraps. Okay, I'm going to stop, let that dry, and I will be back for whatever I decide to do on the next layer. Okay, so I just thought I would come back on because I've been thinking about the scripture, and I did this first, and then an idea comes. That's just kind of how it works. So the scripture is the gospel, that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved, period. There's no other conditions. There's no other man-made rules. This is it. And so I think that this all feels noisy and crazy. And so to me, this may sort of stand for all of that noise of things that people will try to add to the gospel. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. I think I'm going to figure out, and it said use an arrow, so I will somehow maybe make a patch for the scripture to stand out from this background noise, and then draw a big arrow to it. And I may put something like that's it, or period, or something. We'll see. This is still drying, but I think that probably what I might do is go over it with some white ink and spray it with water, because it goes on and dries real transparent. So you'll still see the noise, but it will kind of take it down a notch. So that will probably be the next thing I do. But anyway, I'm gonna let it dry and come back and we'll see what happens. Okay, so while I set my journal aside to dry, I decided to kind of clean my area up. I know, shocking. And move some things around, hoping each time to improve. Do you guys do that where you just think, okay, how can I make this space just a little more perfect? So I rearranged the things right in front of me. You know, it's always important. I always say, whatever is in arm's reach is your $1 million real estate. So if you're sitting in your craft chair at your craft table, whatever you can reach from here is where you want to put all your stuff that you use all the time. And so I'm always trying to perfect that. And so I found a few things that I don't use very often that I had right in front of me. So I moved those to the back and brought some other things forward. So that felt good. And moved my arrangement here on the table so that I could get a better centering under my camera, which I'm sure you guys will all appreciate. And so then I had some scrap white paper, and I've told you before, I sit and punch white circles out when I have paper like that, and it's very relaxing. So I've got all my little white circles punched. I'm going to put those away. I use those for the little closures on junk journals and things. So anyway, it's those little mindless tasks sometimes that can just really calm you and makes me happy. Cleaning up. Now, I don't know what happened, because when I was growing up, my mom couldn't hardly get me to clean my room, but all of a sudden now it's a fun thing to clean my mess up. So anyway, I've got my journal is dry, so we will move on, and let me spin it around here. So this is how it looks dry. Right before I got off camera, I sort of had some inspiration, so we'll see how that plays out, because, you know, things change all the time. So let's see what happens. Sorry, I'm putting my work apron on. I find that, yeah, I used to not always wear a work apron when I do art journaling. I find that it is a very good idea. So anyway, okay, and so I am going to play with some inks. I'll fast forward it and you'll see what happens from there. Okay, I'm going to stop here for today. I always reserve the right to go back and work on whatever I've done in the past. So I may come back to these, but I don't feel anything springing to mind, so I'm just going to stop. But I feel like, okay, so sort of drawing attention to this is the whole gospel right here. Very important. So the arrow came in handy. So I used the prompts read. I did have magazine clippings and the arrow. So anyway, come out and put your work that you do out on Facebook if you would. I want to see what everybody else is doing. And that is Jesusjunkjournals Creators. It's the name of the group on Facebook. So anyway, that's it for this week, and I hope you enjoyed that. Click the like button, think about subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.